Dangerous. Okay.
I'm back.
Right, that's great to hear. Yeah, and I do believe I see it coming up on there. Yeah, there we go. So I see the update for the Google Meets now. So we I've just been here, waiting on this session of the chat. So, Andre, what has tabletop? All right, before we get into that exactly, Andre, just let let the audience know what is or who are Tabletop Jamaica.
Tabletop Jamaica is a huh. I don't even know if I can say a person, a network, a team. Uh, it's just a couple people who started playing tabletops in Jamaica. Started with Dungeons and Dragons, of course, but then branched out to other tabletops and then started making games like Duppies and Gunmen. And this card game could be an email, could have been an email. And yeah, I mean, we post on YouTube, we try to stay active. We go to Anime Con and other anime events to just introduce people to tabletops. Uh, yeah, we just roll dice and laugh and tell stories.
That is that's amazing. Um, I can say this for certain. Uh, Tabletop Jamaica, along with the other tabletop groups that I have met since since starting to play D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and other tabletop. Um, I I remember like the early years when this was just starting up, where um, my first interaction with uh, uh, actual tabletop group outside of not outside but in Jamaica was my first meeting with Fu. Um, it was a coincidental meeting, and it's
Mm.
one that I am grateful for every day because I met him at a anime event that was happening close to my previous workplace back in 2022, right?
Mm.
Um, I went there to collect a cosplay that I had commissioned by a friend. And after getting there, I randomly saw him set up with Cyberpunk um,
Mm.
2027 book along with some dice, and we started talking about D&D and tabletop. And after a bit, um, we ended up seeing each other again at Anime Fest, where it was Fu alone with a one man booth, and his dice and tabletop books. And that year, randomly, I chose to um, just run a random game for friends, and
Mm-hmm.
thoughts began, and that's how we came up with the idea of even making an official tabletop group for D
So
and D
when you
or
that game, that
other.
was at the event or before or after
Oh,
the event? When
oh,
you ran that game, was that at the event or before or after the event?
it was after that event at Anime Film Fest the year 2022. I had I was planning a home game for myself, um, and it was to happen in September, and I was just I bought myself the essential kit for
Mm-hmm.
D&D, and I had it on hand at Anime Confess, and a couple friends looked at me and was like, "Yo." Well, I took it out and I was like, and talked to a couple friends and I was like, "Yo, you want to play a game of D&D?" And that's how I
Mm-hmm.
ran my first game at Anime Confess. And then after that, started talking with Fu. Um, she helped actually introduce me to you guys. Um, and from there, pretty much the rest is history of running games, whether at home, Anime Confess, through the JRPG and Discord. Um, she was the one who even showed me at the time it was D&D Jamaica. I
Oh yeah,
believe that was the
yeah,
name of the channel at the time, D&D Jamaica.
yeah,
He introduced me to it.
yeah. It was at the time. Funny enough, with D&D Jamaica, because uh, I'm going to tell the story again. Let me try to keep it short and keep it cohesive. The I was running. The first person that DM'd me, like the first person that not taught me. I was kind of learning how to play D&D before and really wanted to start because I was listening to D&D content. And then the first
Yeah,
table I got in, it was Alistair Douglas, and I was a first time player. He was a first time DM, and he had like a dozen other people. It ended up being like in his group. I eventually got kicked out of that group while he was like purging and making it small, but also like I was an argumentative player, blah 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 blah. So from there, I still had a group by that time that had started running. So I went from that group and just started playing otherwise. But then I also had started DMing or starting to write a campaign because I always wanted to do a D&D podcast. But I was
yeah,
doing like school at the time and work, and it was just too busy. So I just kept writing this stuff, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then the pandemic hit in the last year of school, and I always told myself I'd started this D&D Caribbean campaign after school. Pandemic hits, and I was like, okay, well, I'm stuck at home. There's some artists who really want to learn how to play D&D, and I know how to DM, and I know how to DM short games because I did a one shot and I did a few one shots to get ready for the long campaign. So I was like, all right, I'll just do a little one shot to teach you how to play. And then that taught me how to like upload it to YouTube. So I just went from the podcast idea and started just doing a video. Just Zoom was just so easy to just grab stuff, put online, and it give you the audio if you wanted a podcast version. And so D&D Jamaica started there during the pandemic on YouTube, and I had forgotten about it for a time because after I run that short campaign, I was like, oh, the one I actually have planned about like the Caribbean setting and D&D and like using our history and putting D&D on it. The amount of story that I have, I'm never going to be able to run it and finish it. It would take like maybe 2 decades based on how long it takes to run a short plot in D&D. So I just kind of left it alone. I forgot about it for a year or two. And apparently, Fu was trying to get in contact with me on the Dungeons and Dragons page, and I had not realized for a while because I had been checking it while I've been uploading. When I finished uploading, I just kind of like was so just like tired, I just left it. And then Fu actually was talking to me about it, and I was like, "Oh, right, people actually watch the YouTube stuff and like were aware of it." So that got me back into it. And then by that time, they were talking about like making a game for the Caribbean, like a Caribbean based game. So Fu was talking about that, and I realized I had written so much for the D&D Caribbean thing that I might as well take it out and put it in its own game and make my own like sort of dice rolls and setup, and just like fix some of the problems with D&D like that I have when running live, like how long it takes to set up a character. So I use the experience that Fu had brought me to some of the live events to run games. So by that time I had like even a better idea about setting up a character and so on, and running other games. So it became a case where D&D Jamaica didn't feel accurate. So it switched to Tabletop Jamaica. But by that time, when I was making the new game, Duppies and Gunmen, the person who was DMing me, so Zoe, was helping me at the time and then suggested that I talk to Alistair, who was the first DM I had, who by this time we were like pals again. So we started just working on the game together and working on just Tabletop Jamaica on a whole together. So it's been like a sort of circular thing of just one thing building upon the next until it is what it is now. But um, it's been a fun journey. And I see space for more persons to jump into the hobby. And yeah, just looking to see where it goes. I hope I
I
never lose
can
anyone
say
here.
I can say this for certain. Um, the tabletop space in Jamaica has gotten larger and more prolific
Mhm.
from what I originally remember where we started from with the number of smaller D&D groups that I've heard of or been a part of,
Yeah.
um, all doing their own things. So many different games running here and there. Um,
Yeah, because even your stream has some pretty interesting voices on it. Um, I wouldn't mind actually like putting faces to the voices and so just to understand who are saying some of the things because they do get up to some pretty interesting things on the stream.
yeah. So actually, this most of them they don't do streaming. Most
Mhm.
of well, and those who are currently interested in streaming, they don't have a full setup as yet. So they're
Mhm.
all working at doing their own thing. But I mean, it's a group that close friend of mine. I call him my brother because we share the same last name. Ironically enough, we share the same initials as well. Um,
Okay.
he he in he invited me to the group of players for consistent games where we've been running campaigns for the last 2 3 years, mostly one shots
Mhm.
or short campaigns, and it
Yes,
was
I love a one shot.
it was through playing these consistent short campaigns and games with them. I saw that we had the potential to do something long form, and I had had this idea in mind to run a campaign from level 1 to level 20 It took me a while
Mm.
to get the members who could have a recurring,
The time.
who would have
Yeah,
the time to
yeah,
actually come back each week
that's huge.
for the campaign. And and because I know that we have a fairly large group. I mean, we have multiple campaigns that play from time to time, but
Yeah.
of all the games, because I've been working on my streaming, I
Mm-hmm.
decided that for those specific games, for my specific games, I'd definitely stream them whenever I'm running the game, and I decided that, hey, if I want to actually stream this thing, I'm going to have to pick a day, commit to the day, and
Mm-hmm.
just let the group know that, hey, when we're going to play, just know it's going to be live. We're going to be playing this time every week, and
Mm-hmm.
having the opportunity to play like once a week, um, it made such a difference in player engagement, non-burst, um, or longer burnout times between playing like back-to-back days, because
Oh, you
it's
had
something.
back-to-back days. Oh, rotted.
No,
Okay.
well, I mean, not for the one that not the one that I'm streaming. I mean, like
No, as
other
in,
games that.
any DM that is putting themselves through back-to-back days is they deserve some sort of trophy or something because that is impressive to just like finish today and then prepare everything for tomorrow. It's a
Well,
feat.
it is a feat. And we actually found that it burned out a lot of our seasoned DMs. So we had
Yeah.
this. We came up with the idea that over a course of the year, we'd select one person who would be um, DMing every month, and
Mm.
we started like that. And when I noticed that when we have one person DMing each month, there are persons who are able to um, uh, they choose one day of the week for their constant
Mm.
games, and I was like, all right, I don't think I'll have the opportunity to say do take an entire month by myself to do stream and then also um juggle my work schedule. And I was like,
Yeah, and family and stuff. Yeah.
unlike that, I won't be the one to take a full month, but I'll take one day out of
Mm-hmm.
out of each week. That is my day. Any other day out of the week, whoever is running campaigns for that month can schedule and run their games. And
So, question: when you say take a month, what does that look like? Is it that it's because I figured it was once a week every month, but what was happening
okay,
in terms of
so
how often?
in terms of it, what happened is that when we made the schedule, say for instance, this month being January, we would have one person
Mm.
who would have that month claimed as their DM. So they would make games, probably have two, three different shots for that month. Different games here or there, or if they have a campaign idea, they run it like maybe 2 days out of the week. Um,
Oh,
if the story actually allows itself to complete within that time frame. But they're
I get you.
mostly doing shorter one-shot stories for their campaigns. sometimes the one shot might roll over into an extra day, and that's where the back-to-back days came in, where
Yeah.
the person who is running the games for that month, they would have this campaign idea. They start the game tonight. By the end of the night, the game isn't finished, or they don't get to where they exactly want to. So
Yeah, you
they
need about 4 hours to clear a shot, one shot. Yeah,
so
three
here's
hours,
the thing.
four.
Sometimes these games are going for 3 4 hours, and the main story isn't finished. So they end
Yeah,
up
yeah,
um
definitely.
running games for another day.
Yeah, no man.
And
That part of that's you have to
that
be a lot. Most games I know will run longer than you expect. No, like the only way I'm able to keep games on a certain time is by being very pessimistic when I write it and have so much that I can just drop out and so many checkpoints that if they reach this, it can end that. That when you hit the 3 hour mark, you're basically just looking, okay, they're close enough to this checkpoint to just land the plane. Because yeah, it most one shots will go overtime, and the only way to avoid that is know what's like kind of going go over the time and then leave so much off what you want to write. Because yeah, I understand they're running over, because that is pretty standard.
for
That's
me,
the norm
I
and the
for
exception.
me when I came up with my game concept,
Mhm.
I made it in I used a concept that made it modular in the sense that each week I can have something new that follows from the previous week and follows
Mhm,
the
mhm.
same storyline, but without trapping the uh, trapping the players in a sense that they can't complete the story,
Make that
and
progress. Yeah.
if we wait until next
Yeah.
week, things won't
You'll
make
get.
sense. Yeah,
So,
and
because
yeah,
I am hoping to do that now, we sort of did that with a Doppel and Gunman upload, because I was doing one shots just to introduce persons to it, which I might, yeah, you need to we need to get you for jumping for one of them there when you have time. But we Alistair also did a longer version of it where it was a 5-parter, well, turned into 6 because, as me say, games always run over. And I'm
mm,
hoping to do what you're describing, which is a sort of episodic monster of the week, not the TTRPG, though it does influence how I will plan it a bit. Sort of this week is this challenge, and it need hopefully it will conclude this week, and then next week will be another challenge. There will be progress, but it won't be totally dependent on the story from last week type of thing. So yeah, I think very similar in terms of the wavelength for how you're planning yours. Like it's just a series of one shots that blend together with this maybe the same cast.
my my series, the one that I'm currently running. Even though I mentioned, even though I was talking about the group doing one shots, mine isn't like that one shot in the sense that
Okay.
it's the story is very uh it's not completely episodic, because to
Okay.
understand certain things in certain weeks you need context from the previous week. It's just that
Um,
um the concept that I'm using gives me the freedom to make each week as unique as they can be, while
mhm.
following the story, because the story that I'm using is a homebrew version of solo leveling.
Mm-hmm.
Taking the Demon Castle idea and making that into a full-on game where the party is climbing the Demon Castle. And because Solo Leveling left out so much details out of the Demon Castle, it gave me the freedom to make each floor unique and challenging for the team. But at the same time, I have to take into consideration the people that I'm playing with, the kind of stories that they want to tell, and
Yes.
the stories that we are telling. Because right now, the dungeon is the least of the party's worries. What
Mm-hmm.
has everyone on edge is each other's backstories.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have members from the party who are finding out things about themselves that they didn't even expect. Um, first, and because we've been going for so long, there have been some interesting character dynamics being developed.
Mm-hmm.
Persons, even um, most recently, there was a major setup for upcoming games because one of the party members find out that they are being hunted even though they aren't their in the typical world they are from. Because it started off with the entire party literally getting dragged into the demon castle and being morphed, losing their human form to take on the form of tieflings, and
Mm.
they don't know what has brought them into the demon castle as yet. All most of the party coming from either Earth, or the Hunterverse, or one of them actually didn't even come from Earth, came from the uh, the Feywild, um, and it's been interesting just seeing how they develop and interact. Because right now, one of the party members um, find find out that of everyone there, they're the only one who actually died before ending up there.
Mm.
So letting them uh, live and introduce and take on these characters, and the party dynamic has been changing quite drastically from where they all started, where it was like, who the hell am I um, teaming up with in this place to, okay, we've been here long enough together. We need to actually protect each other. That's
Yeah.
how the game has developed so far, and it has been interesting to say the least.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. Mhm. But yeah, the part about them all being tiefling because was a uh, demon world was I was watching and got the setup of okay, so they're all using the tiefling race uh, as part of the lore. Check it.
Started it off like that for character creation and a storytelling limitation. Um, at the get go because I wanted to have a reason why they were all one class. And what I did, I told them that mechanically they would all choose the tiefling race. However, if they are describing their character, they don't have to describe their character as a tiefling. They could describe it anyhow they see fit. And that's how we even end up having one character who was actually a kitsune who got turned into a demon. One was a what do you call it, a tabaxi.
Mhm.
Um, but then there are two characters who describe themselves as tiefling before the entire story started, and their story has me by a chokehold in the sense that um, I love a good why are bad things happening to me when I did nothing wrong?
Mhm.
And that's how it was going for a couple of these characters. And now it has literally started a uh will they won't they relationship between two of the characters.
Hmm.
But
Understood. Understood.
um one of the next things that and one of the next things that I want to try and do with the group is to see how far it will take all of this will take them. I want to stress test a lot of things, and I gave myself the leeway to grow by starting off with using vanilla D&D stuff, meaning things from the original rule set, limits. Well, I chose not to use home rounds. This was more to just get everyone on the same starting foot, and then from
All the
there,
players have played
as
before.
um, all of them had played before, but some were just getting into um, long form campaigns.
Mm.
So because of that, it was what I should say. Because not everyone had played um, all before, we
Mhm.
I chose this method of let's get the basics out of the way first. After the basics are out of the way, then we can look into doing other things. Because the people that I play with, they make homebrew weapons, homebrew items. They do a lot of homebrew, even homebrew races and subclasses.
Oh, subclasses is tricky.
Uh, well, races player class. Well, I haven't seen a full on. Uh, I've seen some subclasses, but it's mostly
Mhm.
the items, the races they're playing, custom spells, a lot of different
Spells is tricky.
homebrew idea. Oh,
So I do spells is tricky as well. I think I mainly do homebrew. I'll do homebrew settings, like the world will be homebrew. The monsters, a lot of the ones I use will be it's homebrew, but I'm barely the one making it. I mean, like um, ones that I kind of look at for balance, because I kind of have an idea of what D&D uses to balance encounters and players' ability. So I will use a homebrew setting, like the world that they are in. Quartal Quest was based in a homebrew type of South America setting, Central America setting.
Mhm.
Race, I have homebrewed for a bug campaign that I did, but it was simply taking an existing race and then putting that they were immune to fall damage because they're tiny bugs, and then maybe throw on something like if it's a light bulb, a light bug, they'll have like the light cantrip. So for homebrews, I mostly mix and match what exists or lean towards less powerful things. But I can see how homebrews can be tricky if you haven't played the vanilla game, or especially if you haven't really looked into the design of like D&D and what separates a powerful thing to give to a character versus something that they can get at level 5 or level like a level 7 item would be way different than a level 3 item. And if you are kind of diligent and know what the power scaling is, I feel like you can get a lot of homebrew in, but unless you kind of do that research and grasp it, I can see where homebrews might make some players feel underpowered while some feel powerful, or make the fights feel too easy or way too hard. Uh, but it can be done. It's just very carefully.
Yeah. So because of that, I just tell them, so let's hold off on the home rules for now and see where it's going. And know that like we've been in the campaign for going on 15. We're I think the next episode should be episode 15, if I'm not wrong.
Mm,
So that's how far we've gotten along. Granted, the party has barely scratched the demon castle. Um, I the demon castle is really just a big countdown for the party, because
mm,
the entire party knows that demon castle goes to level 100, right? The
mm.
party is still on level 4.
Have you
That's the
set it up
15th.
in such a way that they need to get to 100? Or, well, there's probably spoilers, but how committed are you that they need to do these levels for it to conclude?
Um, it's they may not need to well, the end of the game, specifically for those who started off at floor 1, their goal is indeed to get to level 100 to try and, well, what they were told originally is that to escape the demon castle, you have to get to level 100. But they
Mm,
also were giving the caveat that, oh, there might be other methods of leaving the demon castle on the higher floors that you would need to figure out. So there, on one hand, what they know so far is get to level 100, we can escape. But on the other hand, they also know that, oh, if something comes up before level 100 that allows us to escape, we have the option to take it. But we would need to make those opportunities come.
Mm. How do you keep your players motivated through what is a daunting 96 levels as a
Trauma,
goal or as a end goal?
trauma. Sounds funny, but actually, storytelling trauma,
Okay.
meaning that everyone has something they are working towards.
Yeah.
It is on different floors. Some of them got story beat reveals that, oh, something is coming up where you is going to happen on a higher floor. But at the same time, they also know, oh, getting to each new floor, there is something new to get, more levels to get, and we need to get stronger before we actually take on what is to come.
And your
That's how.
goal at the end of yeah, go ahead.
So my
And your
goal
goal
at
at the end of it is that they will be at level 20 by the
yeah,
end of the campaign. Okay, so
by the
how
end of the
long
campaign.
do you have the running of this campaign in mind?
Truth be told, what I told them straightforward that I don't have a set end for it until they
Ah, okay.
make it to the to level 100. I told them that it's going to be a week over week committed thing. Um, as each week goes by, being consistent, you will gain your levels, unlock more of the story as we go forward.
So this is
Um,
a definitely a long form campaign over
yes,
years.
I
Okay.
did. I did tell the group. I did. That's how I pitched it to the group before
Okay.
getting into it. I did tell them that this is years long. Um, I'm not going to be. I told them that I'm going to just be using it for once a week, so that if they are, if they want to play another game, they have time to play another game, but yet still they have the option, or they have their long form game to come back to, so that one character to be used to playing this one story.
Understood. I
Um,
do have a similar one that the second one I joined
one
that has
second,
been going
give
for
me a
like
sec.
7 weeks.
Just my phone. Hello.
Oh, I'm hearing you.
Oh yes, one moment. Sorry about that. That was actually a work driver calling to
Mm.
schedule pick up in the mornings.
Okay.